Daktari, I have said before and I want to reiterate, corruption is complex. It is not straightforward as you might think, and corruption, as the former CEO of anti-corruption, Justice Ringera said, corruption fights back. Once the anti-corruption and the director for prosecution have carried the investigation and filed the cases in court, then the judiciary, the wheel of justice continues grinding very slowly. You have very sophisticated lawyers coming in, causing all the confusion. So what we want to do and to assure the judiciary is let them speed corruption cases, because corruption cases, the country gains out of it because we recover the assets which have been taken. So our judiciary has been letting us down because the case takes down once someone has been charged. You no longer hear about them. You don't know what happened. It's adjourning. So as we were saying before, that the law should be amended, and we should not be repeating that they amend the law. They should call a special sitting, amend the law, have a timeline of having these anti-corruption cases being dispensed in court. That is the only way forward. But as Miriam has put, if we don't see them to conclusion, see like the one for Waruke.
We are coming. We are coming there.
It has been there for 2013. So what I'm trying to say, the judiciary has been letting us down.
Miriam, your comment?
Yes, indeed. I think very important. These three bodies there, EACC, Doctor, as you said, after it has investigated these 844 cases, they were handed over to the DCI and I think the office of the DPP there. So these, we can't enough the importance of these institutions working together, and that's why when we come we sometimes read the headlines here and there seems to be some wrangles there, we're saying this will go and defeat every gain that has been made in terms of the fight against corruption, because they are all they all rely on each other in terms of information and how they're working through these cases. And now before they're taken to the judiciary, and we've seen Maraga last year after Kenyans were complaining a lot, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta registered his disappointment in the manner in which the judiciary handles a lot of these corruption cases, that I think also has necessitated this amendment bill that is before our parliament right now. And should it be passed, I think a lot of those things that have been suggested in that bill will go a long way in fighting against corruption. And one of them, as Professor there has mentioned, is the timeline in which these cases take. Others take as long as 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. Even some of the people, died or other things happened or the case is just done away with completely. So the timeline that is being addressed in the amendment bill, I think, will go a long way in ensuring these cases are prosecuted in the right time, and Kenyans and the public indeed are able to get justice, especially this monies and these assets. A lot of time they have been taken from the public, so it's quite important for the EACC and the DCI and also the judiciary. Very important component, because that is where the wheels of justice are. If the DCI did their job, the EACC did their job, you come to the judiciary, we don't have proper judgments there, then that will just rubbish everything and all the efforts that have been put forth. So it's quite important. I know corruption fights are back, but still we have to support the EACC. We have to support, they're not perfect, but we have to support them as a country so that they are able actually to do their job, and we create an enabling environment for them. So far I think they've done a great job with the new leadership there.
Thank you very much, Miriam. We now move to convictions. Since 2014, 188 corruption cases have been finalized in court, of which 130, 70% of those resulted into conviction. These are things that people have not seen. People think that the government is not working. But if you go to the corridors of court, people are crying there. There are some quiet cases that are going down there where people are being sentenced, actually sent to prison quietly. It is only a few people who have understood the seriousness, or high flyers who have understood what is supposed to be done. But looking at this, some of the high profile personalities convicted are the Member of Parliament of Sirisa, 297 million times 2 for fraudulently supplying hot air to NCPB. Former director of Kenya Re, convicted of fraudulent acquisition of public property. Former MP Kasarani John Njoroge, convicted of bribery. Former Member of Parliament Eldoret South, convicted of willful failure to comply with CDF regulations. A senator was convicted for abuse of office and issuing bad checks. Former permanent secretary, Minister of Local Administration, convicted of abuse of office in the cemetery cases. You remember that? The man, there are people who have even collapsed and died, man, in people have collapsed and died. So if you look at these cases, are you happy as a Kenyan that we have taken it down in 5 years or 6 years since 2014? We have managed to take down the big giants. Are you happy? Anybody can take the question.
Yes. I've said that corruption is very complex, Dr. and Miriam. So getting even one to nap and they face the full force of the law and recovering the public money, that's great, Dr. And more of this should be seen. And what on that, what I have to say that Article 35 of the Kenyan Constitution gives Kenyan right to information. So when these kind of convictions are going on,
when you talk about that article, it reminds me of my 70 million. Please don't mention it, please.
No,
the 70 million shillings went down, please.
What I'm trying to say, we are entitled to information, to be told that this is happening. It is not the end in court that someone is convicted, he goes to jail, and then we don't know. That's what I want to say. We are entitled for this kind of information so that to know that good work is still going on. You can do a good work and if there's nobody to see it, then people may be accusing you wrongly. In fact, even the judiciary is supposed to come forward and say, yes, you are accusing us, but we have been able to dispense this. That's what I have to say that.
Yes,
thank you very much, Miriam.
I think, yeah, Professor, they're a very important point you're raising, because some of these things we know, because sometimes we have to go look for that information and the facts as they are. But a lot of Kenyans don't. So I think EACC, a lot of people think, what is this institution even doing? And we've seen a lot of times even Kenyans in the past coming out and saying, perhaps it is time this was disbanded. We don't need the EACC because it's not executing its mandate properly. So I think the EACC has not been very clear in terms of how it's issuing out the information and what the institution is doing. So they should really take advantage of the goodwill that Kenya has. You know, after the new leadership came there, and we saw a lot of these high-end cases being taken care of. Kenyans started having their confidence back in the institution. So now they should take advantage of that and make sure that they are able to give out the information. They're able to update us on a regular what is happening, what cases are they handling, all these figures. We know them because we go there and look at their website, or just once in a while it is in the papers, but they should be seen to be active, especially in the war against corruption, because that is their core mandate, and to ensure that Kenyans know Kenyans are up to date, so that Kenyans will be encouraged. When I see something happening that is not right, I know I can call the EACC and I can report that matter, because they have it in their website. But a lot of Kenyans might not even know the channel. If they wanted to report a case or they wanted to seek some information, they really don't know, because it's not communicated. It's not out there, the public knowledge, and they assume everybody will go to their website. No. So this information should be out there. They should be carrying out some sensitizing, campaigns every now and then, just to encourage Kenyans to be part of this. Remember, in COVID-19, the other time I said, let's not leave no one behind. There are things, if we are to succeed as a country, that is what the crisis we're having now of the pandemic, but also corruption, which is also another pandemic that has eaten into everything in this country, has eaten into the money that is supposed to be going and supporting the free education, that's eaten into the money that is supposed to be going and equipping our public hospitals, has eaten into a lot of very important things that matter to Kenyans. So if we want Kenya, and we have noted, and it is the truth, that unless everybody is on board, then we'll just see this as a war between President Uhuru Kenyatta, and sometimes politicians will come out and say it's a witch hunt. But if we bring everybody on board and we make Kenyans realize that we cannot win this war without you on board, we need you to be an active participant. We need you to be reporting these cases. We need you to stop giving bribes. We need you to be supporting this. And when you see something, you say something. We need to bring everybody on board and have them realize for the country to succeed against the war on corruption, everybody must be on board and everybody must be part of the process, so that we're able to cure this pandemic of corruption. But I think also the leadership and integrity, chapter 6 of our constitution are quite important. So those cases, Doctor, there that you've mentioned, are the big fish. It's quite important that is happening, but we need the information to be out there. Whether the big fish, whether the small fish, the EACC can do much better if it improves the way it communicates and the way it avails information to the public. Let them not assume that everybody has time to go to their website. My mother in the village does not even have a smartphone, so they need to communicate so that Kenyans know, and in that way Kenyans will support them in this very challenging endeavor.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to give you a parting shot. Or each of you, Miriam has made a case, Professor, in analysis. In 5 years, we have recovered these amounts. Is it a good way forward? Are we showing some way out? The government has not been sleeping. There's no government that has ever recovered such money in the history of the Kenyan people since 1963. There's no government that has floored a minister or the ministers resigning, being told to leave. Very few. It is very rare in Africa to find an apology, because an apology in Africa means you have lost either your womanship, manship, or manhood. You have lost it. If you apologize in public, you will no longer be called Madame Miriam. You will be called Les Miriam. So people in Africa don't take apologies. They don't take seriously a word to say, I am sorry, I stole, and the police were right to have caught me. A court in London will be very lenient to you when you say that. They will look at you, then you look again like you. And like mine, one court looked at me, then they told me one day, one judge, Muzungu, told me, you have abused our hospitality. That is racial. I took up the case and I won. That statement alone that he made me, and I thought it was a joke. He was going to hammer me to go. It's like, it's something to do with a car. Just parking tickets. I was clobbered. The man looked at me and said, you have Why do you park every time you don't pay? You have abused the hospitality of the meter machines. I was going to go to jail, I'm telling you. I looked at the man and said, I'm very sorry. Until he said, okay, because of that word, sorry, you can now appeal. But I've given you this fine. I want it to be paid before you leave this place. And I thought it was a joke. And they say anybody coming to pay must show the income. So it was only my daughter, my wife, who came. They said, not the wife, we want somebody else. So it is very, very rare to get such a word sorry in Africa. Thank you very much. Prof, if you have a word on corruption to encourage the EACC to go on and let them not fear to do what is supposed to be done. Next week, we shall name the people frustrating the EACC. We shall tell them, then we shall find out why cases are all. You saw the woman who took a photograph yesterday with the deputy president, the one who claims to have been a detective. You remember that's the woman who says she was in a Colombo. Why is it that all wrong people go to the deputy president's office? What is attracting people in that office? Why? If you have a man on the village who marries others' wives, doesn't that man become a man who breaks the marriages? Who waits for them to go to the well? Well, down there, you know, women like going to the well at about 3 to 4 in Siaya, in Elgon. They are going to gossip there. Oh, my husband comes late. Oh, my husband these days. Oh, there's no dress for Easter. Oh, this. I don't know. Those in the town, I don't know how they gossip. I'm not a woman, but I know those in town nowadays gossip in saloons. When they go to the saloon, oh. So I am wondering, why should all people who are being accused of something in Kenya run to the deputy president to take pictures with him? What is attracting them there? That's the thing we want to find out next week. Yeah. And how many high-profile cases that have not been covered and brought to the attention of the public as under Article 35 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Prof.
Yeah, I would only say that birds of the same feather flock together. We will unveil that one next week. I have been in this country for some time now. The channel of anti-corruption we have worked. We have had commissions being disbanded, being declared is unconstitutional. The good thing which happened to anti-corruption in this country, we anchored in the Constitution, so nobody wakes up one morning and disband that commission. 2, I am a supporter of the handshake, and I thank the Prime Minister and the President for having seen it wise in their 9-point agenda to have corruption as one of them. And as a chaplain, you know, I appreciate people when they are alive. I don't wait when you are horizontal for me to say good things about you. So on this, the Prime Minister and the President, you did something good for this country. Having raised these spaces, then the anti-corruption, then the Director for Prosecution and the Director for Criminal Investigation, you have got the goodwill. There should be no excuse why you are not slaying this dragon corruption. And you have said about the president, the Dakshan, it is not easy. as a president to ensure that some of your ministers, trusted ministers, of principal secretaries have been charged in a court of law and have been told to step aside and get out of office. This is great to our president, and we need to support him. And the people of goodwill who means well for this country. Let us team up. Let us leave no one behind until corruption becomes a thing of the past in this country. The money for the public should not be put for public use.
All right, thank you. And Doctor, just before you end there, as this new bill that we've been talking about here, and now EACC will have some additional powers that perhaps will enable it carry its mandate very effectively, and the EACC will also get new powers to seek expert orders from the High Court barring appointed state officers under investigation or who have been charged with corruption. This the proposal in that the new bill, or an offence of economic crime from accessing a public office or exercising specified powers. Now, this is where investigation will have established grounds to suspect that the state officer is likely to interfere with evidence, witnesses, or conceal documents. And also the EACC, which previously had limited mandate to initiate proceedings to recover corruption property on proceeds outside the country, will now be empowered to do so, and they'll be able to access even the offshore account, which we know a lot of people, sometimes that is where they go to store their ill-gotten wealth outside the foreign bank accounts. So that the EACC for years, state and public officers have been accused of operating offshore accounts and hiding their wealth abroad in tax havens. The proposed law now makes it a crime for each such officers to operate foreign bank accounts without the approval of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So such powers being given, because EACC has been called a toothless dog for a very long time. It can only bark, but it can't really bite there. So it has been empowered in that way, and should this bill pass, then it will go a long way in boosting the EACC capability in the fight against corruption in the country.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for taking part in the discussion. Coming up next is diplomatic leaks. We want to look at why Kenya is best suited. And I believe next week you'll hear more. Don't go away. Watch the space. Very good coming next.